Okay, Algebra 2. In this video, we're going to be talking about section 6.2, exponential models. And we've already talked about exponential equations for certain situations, like we have a car and its value is decreasing by 4% each year, or whatever. Today we're going to focus on compound interest. So the compound interest formula, is an experimental model. Exponential. Oh boy. Exponential. The compound interest formula is an exponential model that is used to calculate the value of an investment when interest is compounded. So what that means is interest is earned on interest already earned. So there is a formula that you need to know. So the compound interest formula is A equals P. I'm going to do some color coding here. P times 1 plus R over, so a little similar to the last formula we talked about, N, close your parentheses, and then the exponent, it is N times T. Alright, so what are all these letters? So P is your initial principal interest. R is your annual interest rate. As a decimal, just like we did last class, as a decimal. N is the number of compounding periods. In a year. So the problems we were doing before, N was 1 because it was annual interest. So that's why it was 1 plus R to the power of T. Compound interest, that means you're accumulating more every month, every week, every, 6 months, whatever. And T is time. A is the value of the account after T years. Okay. If you want an example of where this formula comes from in your book, Envision Example 1, it does a really great job of breaking this down. So we're going to do an example just applying this. All right, so let's say you have $500 in an account. You have $500 in an account with 8% interest compounded monthly. Well, monthly, end of sentence. So you have $500 in an account with 8% interest compounded monthly. How much will you have after 8 years? All right, so we should identify a few things, and I would recommend writing out your formula until you know it. So because we've got compounded monthly, I know I'm going to use my compound interest formula, which is A equals P, excuse me. A equals P times 1 plus R over N T in the exponent. So I want to identify each of these things, right? I want to do some scrap work off on the side. So P is going to be the starting amount, so we have 500. R, and we want that as a decimal, so because it's 8%, right, that's 8 over 100, or you can move the decimal to the left 2 spaces, so that's 0.08. N, so because it is compounded monthly, right, that is going to be 12. That is 12 times throughout the year. And then T, when we substitute it in, is going to be 8. So, applying that immediately into our equation, that will be A equals 500 times 1 plus 0.08 over 12 to the power of 12 times 8. And if we just asked for an equation, you would say 12t, obviously. All right, and we can just do this right in our computer, oh my goodness, our calculator, sounds so old, in your computer. Okay, so if I were going to do it all at once, I'm going to do in parentheses, or 500 parentheses, 1 plus, and then I'm going to put this in parentheses because my calculator, I don't know, I want to make sure that it does this before it adds the 1. And then close my parentheses here and raise that to the power, of 12 times 8. And we get 946.2286099. So what should we round to? Well, guys, this is obvious. We are talking about money. We want to round to the nearest hundredth, so 10th hundredth, 2 decimal places. So because we're rounding, it's approximately 946.2, and then because it's 2.8, I'm going to round to 3. And then we need to write our answer as a sentence because this is a word problem. So how much will you have after 8 years? After 8 years, there will be $946.23 in the account. Perfect. Okay, now before I end this video, couple keywords you guys need to make sure you know. I don't want to make any assumptions. Annually, that is once a year. Semi-annually, that is twice a year. Quarterly, four times a year. Monthly, 12 times a year. So this vocab could be thrown in to help you know what N is going to be. So you need to make sure you are familiar with these keywords.